Joshua and Moses. Well, who was Joshua? Well, Joshua replaced Moses, and he helped lead the people into the promised land, as you can see here. Joshua was also a great leader, and one time he prayed during a battle that the Lord would hold the sun still, and the Lord held the sun in one spot so that Joshua could defeat his enemies. So, what is there to learn from this? Well, look at the image. You can see that God's presence is powerful. When God's around, evil doesn't really stand a chance, because you see these people, they couldn't see where they were shooting their arrows. They couldn't even really see where they were going, so it caused them to panic because they can't see what they're doing, and they can't function properly, so they're running off in retreat. And if you see the sun behind Joshua and it's not moving throughout the day, you know that you're going up against something that you shouldn't be going up against. And that's what these people were thinking when they saw the sun behind Joshua. They knew that God was on his side. And God was on his side because Joshua had continually lived the way he was supposed to live. When they went out and spied in the land of Canaan, when they were supposed to take it the first time, Joshua was one of two people that had a good report. And that's why he got to go into the land, while the other people there who didn't think they could take the land which God had promised to them, they had to wander around in the wilderness for 40 years because they didn't believe God was going to give them the land that he said he was going to give them. Now Moses was also a great leader, and basically what he had to do is he had to go up against Pharaoh. Certainly not an easy thing to do, but he had to argue with Pharaoh about letting God's people go, because it was God's will that these people leave Egypt and go to the promised land. But Pharaoh wouldn't listen. Pharaoh would argue. Pharaoh would not let God do what he was wanting to do. God said these people are going to go free, and Pharaoh wouldn't let them go. So basically, we have all these plagues, and everybody pretty much suffers because of these plagues, unless they do what they're supposed to do and follow the instructions. But there were, the frogs, the hail, and the death of the firstborns, and all that. A lot of pain, suffering went on because the ruler was not acting the way he was supposed to act. God was giving him a chance to do the right thing, but Pharaoh he didn't want anything to do with that. So what happens is these Israelites, they start to get out of Egypt, they start moving out, and Pharaoh is still stubborn. And that's what Pharaoh was, stubborn. He said, they're not leaving. So he gets his army. He's like, all right, guys, let's go get them. Pharaoh sends his army after these Israelites that God was releasing across the Red Sea. And the Israelites got across. And when they got across, they look and see that Egyptian army coming after them. And that's when God just swallowed up the Egyptian army inside the Red Sea. Just gone. Pharaoh's army swallowed up in the Red Sea. What does that tell us? Well, that tells us that God's will is powerful. And we need to understand that, because the more we try to fight God, the harder it's going to be to function. Like Pharaoh, think about all the stuff that happened to his empire because he simply would not let God do what God wanted to do. And it's like that in many people's lives. They don't want God to do what he wants to do, so they get a great deal of trouble because of that.